Hi my loves, welcome to the channel. So I don't know if you can tell, I am not in my room. I'm at my boyfriend's house and he is out right now, so I'm taking this excuse to film. Today we have my October wrap up, and honestly I had a really good October. I finished a series that I was absolutely just loving and adoring, which was kind of devastating. I read a lot of alien romances and I loved almost every single one of them, so we just had a very fun month and I'm very excited to talk about it. So let's get into the stats, shall we? I read 10 books this month. For the genres, we read 10 romance, we read 7 fantasy. I'm saying fantasy very lightly, like the alien romances I'm classifying as fantasy because they're not human. So next one is we read 3 dark romances. I read 3 LGBTQ books. My average rating was 3.95, which I think is lower than last month, but I feel like I had a way better month, so who knows what that says. My longest book was 510 pages. My shortest book was 241 pages. I read 3 new to me authors. I had 2 DNFs and I had no rereads. So, actually, hold on. Let's see. Did I read any of my October TBR? I read 1 out of 7. I'll give myself 1.5 out of 7 because I'm in the middle of Mate right now and I've got like 10% of it left, but I wasn't going to finish it by the end of October, so I didn't include it. But I did read Korvax Challenge, so 1 out of 7. So let's get right into it. The first book that I read, this was one of my best books of the month. This is tied for first place for me, and this was Madman by Onley James. This is book 5 in the Necessary Evil series, and this one, I loved this book. It was so good. This one follows Avi and Felix, and Avi is one of the brothers. He's one of the family members that we follow, and he is one of the twins in the family, and he is a fashion designer, and in book 3 of this series, we meet Felix, who is one of the brother's partner's brother, and he is in fashion. So one of the brothers, Atticus, is like, hey, can you give my boyfriend's brother a job in your fashion company? So that's how we meet Felix, and we get little crumbs of them throughout the series. But in this one, basically what happens is their dad, the family's dad, the Mulvaney family's dad, he is like, okay, Avi, you and your twin brother Asa are way too close, so I'm going to send you off on a mission to go help your brother Aiden with something that we're working on, but I want you to be separated from your brother, basically. And so Avi is very nervous about this, and he is like, I need Felix to come with me because I don't want to be alone. I don't know how to be alone, and I just want to be with Felix. And this would be fine, except Felix doesn't really like Avi. And to make matters worse, right before they're about to go away, they have a steamy encounter. And it's leaving things very awkward between them. And then also, where they're staying with Aiden, they have to share a room and a bed. And I loved this. I rated it 4.5 stars. This was my favorite of the series by a mile. It gave me everything that I wanted. The reason this isn't higher is just because whenever I rate stuff, I always look through the books that are in the rating that I want to give it and see if it fits with those. And this didn't feel like it fit with the 4.75 books that I had there, so I put it at 4.5. And then also, there were a few moments where it felt like this dragged a little bit or it felt a little bit long. But aside from that, it's perfection. It was so good. So let's get into the good. Literally everything else. Avi, perfection. Here's the thing. With the psychopaths, I love them, but they are so clueless with how to be in a relationship. And so I go into these books knowing that there's going to be some slip-ups, that there's going to be some moments where they say something that doesn't necessarily go over well. But with Avi, he knew what he was doing, man. He was my favorite right out the gate. And then he came in, blew my expectations out of the damn water. He was everything. I didn't know that I could love him more, and I did. He just had this warm and kind nature that a psychopath should not have, and it was just natural to him, and it was so beautiful and so precious, and I loved him. Just the way that he loved Felix was so perfect. It was just incredible. It is the kind of love that, as somebody with insecurities and feelings of inadequacy, it is the type of love that you dream of having, and he nailed it. And then with Felix, I was worried that I wasn't gonna like him when I first met him because he just wasn't really super memorable to me, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, whatever, you're there, right? But then he came in and he stole my heart a little bit. I saw a lot of myself in him, and he was very insecure, you know, he was very confident in himself, but when it came to somebody loving him, he felt like he didn't deserve it, and he felt like he was just afraid to love and be loved because it's scary, and he didn't really want to let himself have that. He knew his worth, but he still didn't feel like he was enough. And so seeing Avi just work under that wall and that shield that he had up and that armor, it was really, really beautiful, and I loved it a lot. And I loved this. It was my favorite for sure. I have nothing but good things to say about it, and I would very highly recommend this book and this series as a whole. I loved it. Alright, the next book that I read was Korvac's Challenge by Ruby Dixon, and this is book 4 in the Ice Planet Clones series, and I rated this one a 3.75. So let's talk about it. So this one follows 80? I'll say 80. I don't think it's right, but I'll say that. Anyway, this one follows 80 and Korvac, and the premise of Ice Planet Clones, it's on the same planet and universe as Ice Planet Barbarians, but with this one, these pods have been dropped onto the planet just kind of out of nowhere. And when we are introduced to the Ice Planet Clones universe, we see 2 pods, and they were open before the other aliens came to open the rest of the pods. So we're always wondering, as the book goes on, what happened with the 2 people that were in these pods. And these 2 people are 80 and Korvac. And so how this starts is Korvac wakes 80 up and is like, hey, we're in the gladiators arena. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to keep you safe. Just come with me. Korvac is a gladiator, and he thinks that they have been released into the arena and that his challenge is to survive and also to keep 80 safe. And if he does that, he will be rewarded with her as his woman. And 80 is a human, and she is like, what am I doing on this planet? I just went to bed and now I'm here. So she's really out of it. But they go along together, and they realize that they need the little parasite to survive. And when they put it into their bodies, they start resonating. They start humming, which means that they are mates. Korvac is protecting her, 80 is staying with him, and they both just feel this pull to each other, and they have no idea why. It kind of goes from there. And so this one, I liked it, but I don't think it was anything revolutionary. But I mean, realistically, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. I think the only thing that I kind of struggled with in this book was just that their relationship and dynamic didn't feel super natural to me at the beginning. So I felt a little bit disconnected to it, just because when we meet them and we automatically see them connect and have to start working together, it doesn't feel super authentic and natural and real, I guess. And so I think that was just my only real issue with this. And then with 80, she's not an FMC that's going to stand out to me, really. She was just kind of like your average Jane. But I do really like the way that she loved Korvac, because she saw everything that he was trying to hide, like his insecurities and his ignorance and his cluelessness and just his feelings of inadequacy and just everything. She saw all that, and she just gave him so much patience and care. And then with Korvac, he just loved her so deeply, so deeply. He, from the jump, he was like, 80, tunnel vision, that's it. I gotta keep her safe. I gotta do whatever I can just so that she's okay. And it was really, really sweet. And he was very clueless, and so he was really precious as an MMC. And I think, relationship stuff aside, I really liked Korvac's emotional side. I liked the way that that was done, and I liked seeing how he went from a gladiator protecting a prize to a person just trying to protect and care for and make sure that the person that they love is okay. I liked seeing that arc. I thought it was really well done. So yeah, was this an amazing book? No. But I did have a really good time with it. It didn't really make me feel anything, but I do know that when I do a reread of this universe, which I definitely will do, I think there are going to be books that I skip, but I don't think this will be one. I think that this is one that I will be very excited to pick up again. The next one is Lunatic by Onley James, and this is book 6 in Necessary Evils, and I rated this one a 3.75. It was just kind of a middle of the road book in this series for me, and this one, it follows Archer and Mac, and Archer is the Mulvaney in this book. Throughout the series, we see him as a drunk. We see him as just not really doing anything for his family. Like, he still kills people for them, but he's just kind of there. He's funny, and I was really excited about his book, but when we get to Archer's book, we see that he does a lot more behind the scenes than his family knows, and he works very closely with Thomas, who's the dad. In this one, we see him, and he is being asked by Thomas to kind of head this new phase of their organization and take over this thing that they are trying to work on, and he is being asked to do that with Mac, who is somebody that Archer has known for a while, and for some reason, Mac just always is able to get under Archer's skin, and he sees him in a way that nobody else really does, and so he hates him for that. He does not want to be anywhere near this person, but they have to work together, and Eventually, Archer finds out that Mac is in a lot of danger. He's the target of multiple assassination attempts, and so Archer sets his hatred and his dislike and everything that he is feeling aside and just wants to make sure that Mac is taken care of and safe. And so the book goes from there. I think my biggest issue with this one is just that there was a lot more military-esque vibes and plot lines with this, and I think because that wasn't really introduced in any of the earlier books, I had gotten kind of, not attached, but I had gotten used to the flow of things and how they were going before, and so when we got thrown into this new setting and new dynamic, I was like, ooh, this is not really the series that I fell in love with. We still had the main characters that we really liked, like Thomas and Calliope and the brothers and all that, but there was just so much new stuff. And so it took me a little bit longer than the other books to get attached and to fall into this. And then also, I think the biggest thing with this one and why it took me so long to really start liking it is because we were told so much that Archer and Mac have history and we weren't shown it, you know? We see them hook up, we see them do this, that, and the other, and we are told over and over again, we have this history, Mac has this hold on me, and it took us so long to see that I was just a little bit underwhelmed at the beginning, and I was just like, okay, this is just a pure lusty book. But then we got the playful interactions with this, and then we saw how deeply they cared for each other, and then we saw Archer, like, word vomiting love declarations, and this had me, bro. I was locked in. So, in regards to the MMCs, Mac, just kind of there. He's not going to be an MMC that I really remember. Archer, on the other hand, he was a lot like Atticus, who was the MMC in book 3, and I loved Atticus, and I think I just really liked both of them because they both were kind of on the outside of their families and they didn't really have anybody they were close to, and so they just felt very alone. And then we see their partners come in and they just take the reins. They just love them, and we just see the soft sides come out. And Archer was such a softie. He was so cute. I loved him so much. I loved this relationship a lot. It took me a while to get into it, but once I got there, phenomenal. It was so good. And then also with Archer, I think his backstory was the one that was the most heavy and it hurt my heart the most. And so seeing how that shaped him, and it was very sad, but I loved seeing where he ended up, and I loved seeing how he just bloomed with Mac. It was really, really beautiful. I also really liked how close Archer and Noah were. I didn't know that was going on behind the scenes, but once we started getting that, I was really, really happy about it because I just love Noah, and so getting any mentions of him is just incredible. But I love this family. That's the biggest thing, and so anytime I get anything from them, I'm so happy. But yeah, I really liked this one. Was it the best one in the series? No. I just have a lot of love for this series and these characters, so there was a lot of good in this book. There was some stuff that held me back, so it was middle of the road in the series, but a very good book overall. And again, one that I would really recommend. And then we're on to Maniac, which is the last book in Necessary Evils by Only James. This one follows Thomas and Aiden, and Thomas is the dad of the family, and Aiden is, okay, this one is slightly taboo in that sense. He is one of the children that Thomas adopts. He's adopted when he's 16, and nothing happens when he is a minor, but there's still that they were father and son at one point, so keep that in mind. But this one basically follows Thomas and Aiden, and Thomas, he runs everything. He runs this whole psychopath, murder, serial killer universe that we are in. Somebody starts blackmailing him, and he doesn't want to let his family know what's going on because he has a lot of shame surrounding the thing that he is being blackmailed with, and so he goes to the person that knows him the best out of his family, who is Aiden. And Aiden is a PI. He has separated himself completely from the family because he is head over heels for Thomas and being around him is way too hard. So he has reversed the adoption. He's no longer a Mulvaney. But when Thomas comes a knockin', he can't say no. So he gets together with Thomas and they try and track down who's blackmailing him and how they're gonna get themselves out of this and preserve the family secrets. And let me just say, I rated this a 3.75, and this ripped my heart out of my chest. I cried a lot. Not because of them necessarily, but just because it was over and I had to say goodbye to this family, and I was very sad. I was devastated. If we're talking about the family, perfection. Nothing I would change. If we were talking about the couple, their beginning, I was so here for it. You could feel the yearning and the pain and the angst and the anger and the sadness that these two were feeling because they are both in love with each other. but Thomas will not let him in. And so you could feel the pain that these two were feeling. But as the book went on, I found that I didn't care about them as a couple at all. When we were getting Aiden and Thomas scenes, I might have skimmed through almost all of them towards the middle of the book, because I found I was just so much more invested in Thomas's past and just everything else going on with the family that I didn't care about them as a couple at all. They were just there, you know? For a decent chunk of it, I think I was counting the pages and the seconds until I could get back with the family and just not be with just Hayden and Thomas anymore. Don't get me wrong, they were a good couple. I felt it between them a lot at the beginning, but once they got together, they didn't really do a whole lot for me. They were just kind of there. But then when I was with the family, my heart was hurting. I was in pain, and I just loved them so much. So was this a revolutionary book? Not really, but this is definitely a 5-star series for me for sure. Even though I didn't rate any of the books 5 stars, it's a 5-star series for me because I just love them so much. So if you take anything from this video, read this series because it is really good. It is so good. It's dark, it's emotional, it's funny. It will make you fall in love with this family, and it's just incredible. And I would recommend it to anybody because it is so, so good. But also check your triggers for it because it does have trauma and a whole lot of it. So yeah, definitely check your triggers, but highly recommend this series. It is so good. The next one is Marked by Masks and Secrets by Maggie Sunseri. And it is book 1 in the Everlasting Passion series. And this one I rated a 4.25. It was good, but I'll be honest, sitting here now, completely forgot that I read this book. So let's talk about it. So this one follows Evie and Kylo, and Evie is a witch. She lives in this place called Etherdale, and how their world works basically is that there are 2 different kinds of vampires. So there are born vampires, and they are kind of seen as the bad vampires. They're very bloodthirsty, they're very vicious, and they kind of just take whatever they want and don't care about anybody who has to suffer for it. They are the ones that will feed from people in dark alleys and kill people and do whatever, right? They're the bad vampires. Then there are the turned vampires, and they are in this kind of like vigilante group to take out the born and make the world a better place, basically. So they're the good vampires, but there are still some that are bad, but overall they're the good ones. So in this world, powerful witches are really hunted, and humans are in power, but they're trying to be overtaken by the born vampires. That's part of why they need to get taken down. And so Evie, she is a witch, and she is trying to kind of hide how powerful she actually is, because she is very powerful. She just wants to live a quiet life with her brother. She wants to just open up a little shop and sell potions and trinkets and things like that. And then she is out one day and she happens to catch the attention of Kylo, who is a turned vampire, and he just becomes super obsessed with her. He stalks her. He will not leave her alone. And so they meet. He doesn't tell her that he's stalking her, and they become quite close. And he is a member of this vigilante group, and it brings Evie a lot of trouble being close with Kylo because it gets some very bad attention turned her way. She's thrown into this world of evil and vampires and all this stuff that she's been trying to avoid, all while trying to protect her brother and also not let anybody know just how powerful she actually is. And so yeah, this was good. But I think I would have had a very different reading experience had I read this all in one go. I read this over 5 or 6 days, and I think it really screwed me because I took a big break in the middle of it, and when I came back, I was almost completely disconnected from it. So I definitely would have rated this a lot higher had I just kept going with it. But let me start off by saying Kylo was quite the character. He was very attractive, and he was hot. He was toxic as hell, but he had me in a chokehold. When I was reading about him, I was like, oh my god, he's horrible, but it's working. It made me question things about myself. It made me question, is there something wrong with me? Why is this working? You know what I mean? He was just something. He was possessive. He killed for her. And he also just had so many sweet moments as well. There was a scene where he just brushed her hair, and it was adorable. He had flaws, a lot of them, but he was also such a sweetie, too, somehow. Don't really know why. but it worked for me. And then there was Evie. She was just such a sweetheart. We love Evie. She's everything. I just wanted to give her a hug. She had been through so much shit, and she was just wonderful. I loved her a lot, and I loved her arc. She became so strong at the end of this book. She finally realized her worth. She realized the love that she deserved. She accepted that love. It was beautiful. It was perfect. She just deserved the world. And she finally let herself realize that. It was really, really nice. So, yeah, I think this was probably just right book, wrong time, because there was so much good in this book. So much good. But I took a break, and it screwed me. I ruined my reading experience with this. I needed to just read it all in one go, and I would have loved it so much more. And I think that when I reread this, it's going to be a book that I really, really love, and I shout from the rooftops how much I love it. Definitely recommend this one. It was really toxic, but it worked. So I would definitely recommend this one. He's also a vampire, so that's really all you need to know. That's that. Anyway, the next one is Mated to the Monster by Sarah Spade. And I really liked this one. I rated it 4 stars, and it was really good. And this one follows Shannon, and she walks into a bookstore one day. She sees this spell book, and she's like, screw it, let me buy it and let me look through it. Let me just cast a spell. She thinks that it's a fake spell book, right? As anybody would. But she sets everything up. She goes through the spell book. She sees that the only spell with any kind of English translation is this one to summon your soulmate, your mate, your one true love. She does the spell. Nothing happens, but then a portal opens in her room, and out walks this big 7-foot tall devil-looking demon with horns, and his name is Mal, and he comes through, and he sees Shannon, and he knows that she is the mate that he has been waiting 1,000 years for. And it was really cute. I liked it a lot, I'm not gonna lie. I rated it 4 stars. Is it anything to write home about? Not really, but it was fun. And honestly, that's kind of why it was perfect. It didn't really make me feel anything, but it was just exactly what I was needing at the time. I had just read Marked by Masks and Secrets. It was a longer book, and so I just wanted something fun where I could just fall in love with the MMC, who wasn't super toxic. And that's why I loved it. He was just really, really lovable. It had enough emotional depth where I liked the couple, I cared about the couple, but it wasn't like ripping my heart out. It was light and fluffy and fun, and I don't have any complaints about it. The only reason it's not rated higher is just because it didn't make me feel anything, but that's exactly what I was wanting. So yeah, it was really good. I just loved Mal. He was such a sweetheart, and he was obsessed with her. There is a scene, she goes to sleep, she wakes up the next morning, he has drawn her on her floor because he just wants to look at her. His entire world revolved around Shannon. He would just follow her around like a lost puppy, and it was perfect. He was so precious, and I just loved him. I read it in one sitting. I think I read it in like 3 or 4 hours. I loved it. It was so fun, and I would highly recommend this one. Is it anything to write home about? Not really. But if you want a lovable MMC who is just completely gone for his girl, Mated to the Monster, it was really, really good. And it'll definitely be one that I'll reread if I'm ever just wanting a quick, fun little romance. The next one. This one I really, really liked. The rest of the month was spent reading this series, and that was Choosing Theo by Victoria Aveline. Yeah, Victoria Aveline. This is book 1. I'm not going to try and pronounce that series name. Clicanian? That doesn't sound right anyway. But this is book 1. It's an alien romance series, and this is basically a carbon copy of Ice Planet Barbarians, and I had so much fun with it. It was really fun, and I had a great time. So this one basically, it follows Jade and Theo, and Jade is kidnapped from her planet, and she somehow manages to escape her kidnappers. She is on this planet. She manages to get away when she wakes up. She runs. She finds her way into the city, and their leadership is like, hey, okay, because your planet is so inferior to ours, you guys don't know that aliens exist, and so you're not allowed to go back. We are not allowed to reveal ourselves to you, so you can't go back. You have to stay in our world for a year, and then you can go anywhere you want. But while you're here, you have to be married. And so she enters into this, like, marriage choosing ceremony, basically. She stands in front of this, like, the window in the police station, the glass that you can see through, but they can't see you, the one-way mirror. You know what I'm talking about. But she stands in front of one of those, and these guys just walk in front of the window, and they're just, like, holding up their name, and they're just, like, presenting themselves to her. And so she sees a couple that she likes, and then she sees this one man. He is shirtless. He is covered in tattoos. He is just everything. But she looks over, and all of the other girls are like, really shocked and kind of like disgusted by him. So she picks him, and then everyone's like, why would you choose him? And she was like, because he's the hottest man I've ever seen. That's part one. Part two is where they actually pick each other, like where she selects the guys that she wants after seeing everybody. And then part three is the testing, where she goes in there, the guys are completely naked, and then she says, okay, I want this one. And then they get married. So she chooses Theo, and Theo, he isn't actually tattooed. He is actually scarred. So all of the black marks that are on his chest here, they're not tattoos. They are actually scars. So he was burned really badly, and it made all of the marks that he had black. And so everybody thinks that he's really damaged. And so when he is picked by her, he is like, she is a spy. That is the only reason she chose me. Nobody else has ever shown me any interest. And because I'm a mercenary, she just wants to get close to me. She wants to find out my secrets. And so that's the only reason she chose me. There's no other reason. And so it's them living together while she is like, you're super hot. I want to be married to you. And he's like, no, you are a spy. I'm going to find out all your secrets. And then they fall in love. I had a really good time with this. The only issue I had with this is just that I did struggle a little bit to get into the beginning because the premise had me really hooked, and I really liked all the characters that we saw. I liked the FMC, I liked all the side characters we were getting, but we didn't get to see them interact for the first quarter or so of the book, maybe even the first third. And so getting invested in them and invested in their love story was a little bit harder because of that. But once we got to see Theo, and once we got past his extremely grumpy exterior, I really, really liked him as an MMC. He was so protective of Jade. It was really, really sweet. And I loved just seeing him soften eventually. I felt like they just worked really well together. They both had insecurities, and they both just built each other up and made each other feel desirable and wanted and loved. And it was just really great. I don't have a ton of thoughts about this book, but it was really good. And I think the only reason I'm not rating it higher is just because it's like a palate cleanser book, and I don't have any complaints about it, but it didn't really make me feel anything. And in all honesty, I'm probably going to forget about this book in not very long, but I do see myself rereading this one for sure. So yeah, 4 stars for choosing Theo. I had a really good time. And the next one was Freeing Luca, and this was my worst book of the month. This one, I rated it 3 stars, which I mean, realistically, for worst book of the month, that's not that low. It wasn't the best. So this one follows Luca and Alice, and they are both kidnapped. So Luca is a scientist, I want to say, because the whole thing with the marriages and all that stuff in their planet is that women are very hard to come by. That's part of why they have all these marriage ceremonies, is because they want their marriages to really work and for people to be born. And so Luca is a scientist, and he works with reproductive sciences, and he's trying to figure out a way to increase chances of pregnancy and things like that. So he is working in this field, and then the people that he is working with are the ones who are trying to kidnap the women from Earth because they find out that they're genetically compatible. And so he is not okay with this, and he gets captured because of that. And then Alice is one of the women that was kidnapped with Jade that didn't manage to escape. And so they go down into this dungeon, and Alice is walking by the cells to her own, and Luca just gets super protective, and his eyes go black, and he starts fighting against his captors. And Alice has no idea what's going on, but her captors are like, oh, this changes things, because he has recognized you as his mate. Initially, they were just gonna have everybody go to all the women and then just try and get them all pregnant. But now that Luca has recognized her, they're just going to force them together. So how their mating works is that if their eyes go black, it means they recognize you as a potential mate. But if they have blue marks on their wrist, it means that you are their one and only. It means that you are their mate. So they force her to interact with Luca to try and make his marks appear. And it goes from there. Here's the thing. When they were locked up, I was having an incredible time with this. I loved how soft he was towards her, and I loved how they helped each other get through the kidnapping. Even though he was on enough drugs to kill a horse, he still put his body in front of her, protected her, did the whole 9. And they were really cute. They leaned on each other, they trauma bonded for sure, but it was really sweet seeing how they softened towards each other and how they just leaned on each other. But then when they were free, I was so bored. Like, so fucking bored. We got so little interaction with them at the beginning, and then when we finally did get the interaction, it was just all miscommunication, and it was just like garbage. Not really, but it was a bit of a chore to get through. And in all honesty, I can't even really say that I liked either of them. They were just kind of there. I liked them when they were kidnapped. I think that's really toxic of me. I liked them when they were on drugs. Okay, here's the thing. I had just finished choosing Theo, and Theo was super grumpy. And then when he finally softened towards her, they purr. And it was really cute seeing him soften like that. And so I was just waiting and like aching for those moments, for the soft moments, for just them to be lovey together. And Luca was holding back for so much of the fucking book that I was just like, please give me anything, bro. I am so bored. And so when we finally did get it, I was just like, I waited too long. You made me wait too long and I don't care anymore. And we didn't get enough of it that I was satisfied. So with this, it was a good book, but it felt a lot more like fiction and fantasy-y than romance. And so I was just kind of bored because it wasn't what I was wanting, you know? So was it good? Yeah. But was it what I was wanting? Not really. And I don't think this will be one that I reread. I'll just see Luca and Alice in other people's books and I'll enjoy them there. But I don't know if you would pay me to read this one again. So, on to the next. This one was better. This one was book 3 in this series, and I'm going to say it was Saving Verako, but I don't know if that's right. So, we're just going to go with it. So, this one follows Verako and Lily. Lily is also one of the kidnapped women, but once they're freed by Luca and Alice in book 2, Lily and this girl Alejandra, who goes by Alex, they decide, no, we're not going with these other aliens. We're going to run away. We're going to go live in the forest by ourselves in a place that we don't know anything about, and we're just going to live off the land. And so they do that for a while. They become really close. And then Alex, they get separated from each other. She kind of falls down the river. So Lily is like, I gotta go get my girl. I gotta go save her. Then enter Verako. He's trying to free captives that are still being held captive. He gets attacked, brought up into the sky, and he literally falls from the sky into Lily's camp. And so they meet, and he immediately is like, there is something about you. I don't know what it is, but I feel really drawn to you. And so he's like, I need you to tell me if my eyes go black. It's for my health. It's not for anything else. It's for my health, because she doesn't know what it is. So he's like, yeah, I could be dying. I need you to tell me if my eyes go black. And she's like, oh, okay. He is like, I need to take you back. And she's like, no, I can't go. Alejandra's down the river. I gotta go find her. I gotta go save her. We promised we would stay together. And so they go on a journey together to go find Alejandra. And they get really close. And as they're spending more time together, he's like, I know that you're my mate, but my marks aren't appearing. I don't know what's going on. And I'm engaged to somebody else. So I need my marks to appear so I can get out of the marriage. And this one, I rated 4 stars. I had a pretty good time with it. And here's the thing that shocked me the most. With Marked by Masks and Secrets, which was one of the other books I read, when I took a break in the middle of that one, it lost me, right? With this one, I stopped for like 3 or 4 days, and I almost felt more when I came back, which was really shocking. I didn't feel a huge pull to pick it up while I wasn't reading it, but then I started again, and I was just as invested as when I put it down, which never happens to me. I was really, really shocked by that. And this book didn't really have a lull for me, which again, super shocking. In books 1 and 2, there were chunks where I was bored. This didn't have that. I liked both characters. I liked all the side characters, but here's the thing. I didn't really love anything. I just really liked everything, but there was nothing that I was like, oh, I loved this. You know, like with Lily, I really liked how strong she was. I liked how loyal she was. She would not give up on Alejandra no matter what. And then with Verako, he was just a sweetheart. He was a cutie patootie. Here's the thing. Do I remember why? Not really. I just remember I liked him. I'm reading my review right now so that my thoughts can stay together. But I wrote this review immediately after finishing it, and I didn't remember why I liked him. I just remembered liking him. I just had a good time with their love story, but as you can probably tell, this is not a book that's going to stick with me. It was just fun. It's a book that I definitely will reread, but it's not going to be one that'll stand out to me, I don't think. But it was really fun, and I had a good time with it. The next one, we are on to our last book of the month, which this one was tied for first place. I loved this one. And this is the one that I was most excited for in this series. So I was going to pick up Mate. And then I read the synopsis for this one and I was like, I cannot read anything else. I have to read this one right away. I'm going to say it's tempting. I'm going to say Azud, but it's OZ, I think. I'm going to say Azud. But anyway, this one follows Alex, who is Alejandra. I might bounce back and forth by how I pronounce his name, but it's the same guy, okay? So Alex goes down the river. She finds herself in this cave someone's been taking care of her. It's this little forest creature who's really cute. So we find Alex, she's in this cave. She starts trying to find her way back to Lily, walking further down the river so that they can hopefully meet up with each other. She comes face to face with this big beast, and it tries to kill her. Enter Azud. He comes in, he kills this creature, he saves her, and then they are caught by that land's government. And the problem with this land is that those creatures, they are a protected species, so they cannot be killed. So because of this, even though it was in self-defense, Azud is going to be held prisoner, and Alex is going to be forced to marry a man from their town. And she is like, no. I am standing next to Azud, who is the hottest man that I have ever seen in my whole life. So to save us, I'm gonna say that we're engaged instead, and then that way, he was there to save me. I've agreed to marry him, and so we'll have to be sent home because you can't separate me from my husband, and I can't be forced to marry somebody else, right? So then they're forced to live together for about a week or so that she can be shown to other men and hopefully find her mate and everything. But throughout this time, they start to go closer. It was everything. It was so good. This was easily the best book in the series. I had the best time with it. Do I have a ton of thoughts on it? Not really. It was just everything. It was so good. Let's talk about it, all right? The chemistry in this one was incredible. Easily, by a mile, they had the most chemistry. And they just balanced each other so well. Azud was really just like isolated from life, and he was so focused on work, and he was just existing. He wasn't living. And then Alex walked in, and I loved Alex, by the way, but she just walked in, and she just brought all the light and the life and the joy and the fun to his life. And she was just everything. Like, she just lit up his life and just made it so much better. She was just a kind character, and she was so fun and protective and fierce, and she was just really, really wonderful. She just had so much warmth, and she was just so completely and entirely herself through and through, and she just radiated life. Yeah, honestly, I don't have much else to say about this. I just loved their love. I loved seeing how he started to let himself out. He started to lose control and let his personality shine and just be, and he was just head over heels for her, man. It was so good. And the fact that even though he was so in love with her, he would have let her go because he felt like he was holding her back, because he felt like he was less than, and he could never compare to just her light and her brightness and just everything that she had to offer. And also, we got so much of them. The entire book was them. It was perfect. This was a romance, and it was incredible. And every scene that we didn't get with them, it was so good. This was just really, really good. I loved every single second. The only reason it's not rated higher, it's the same thing as Madman. It felt like it could have been way higher, but then when I compared it to those other books, it didn't feel like it fit there. But it fit as a 4.5, and it was so good. I had the best time. But yeah, that's all the books that I read this month. I had a really good month, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm in the middle of a book right now, and it's not going super great, so I think November is off to kind of a horrible start so far. But, yeah, I had a really good October. I hope you guys did too. Let me know down below what you guys read, because I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear what you guys loved. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you staying till the end if you have, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, my lovelies.